Hello and welcome. Special presentation from In the Money Media. Truly special because we don't usually do this for the wider audience. We have been doing it since, I don't know, it's been like almost 6 months now, for our Inner Circle members. What's Inner Circle? Inner Circle is our new tier of In the Money Plus. And let me tell you, if you're doing In the Money Plus for $50 more to get this show is well worth it. Inner Circle, basically we do this extra show on Saturdays live, different groups of people. Today, we're going to be giving you sort of a smorgasbord approach where JK and I are going to begin, and then we're going to hand it off to Mikee P and Jackson and Chris Cupples, and they're going to take you through the rest of the hour. We want this to be very interactive. We encourage people to help us program the shows. We'll ask you during the week, hey, is there a sequence, a track you want us to talk about? We'll look at that custom for you. Lots of interaction with the people during these live shows. They're also posted as a replay that you can watch. So you can also ask questions ahead of time. So that's really the idea. In the Money Plus, generally, you probably already know what that's about. In the Money Plus, basically, you end up getting a bunch of extra shows and then the special written content, Nick's notebook for Saratoga, Frank Scottoni doing his analysis of Del Mar day in, day out. That's just a couple of examples. Blown out packages for the Derby and the Breeders' Cup. In the Money Plus is also just a great way to support all the free content we do that I know people love, like the Pro Player Roundtables, etc. We really encourage people to check out In the Money Plus, inthemoneypodcast.com/plus, the place to go. And we recommend just come right in at the Inner Circle level. We're going to be doing a bet share that will start probably next weekend. I wish we'd been doing a bet share yesterday when the man next to me managed to take down the pick six. I was not involved in that ticket. I was running around like a chicken with my head cut off. But props to you, JK. Your head's above water for the Saratoga meet. You feeling good?
Yeah. You know, what's funny, too, is like, you know, it's a good point about something like this. It's like, you know, I obviously have a lot of confidence as a horse player. Like, I think most of us do. It's like it's what brings you to the game. But I think surrounding yourself by people that have opinions that you respect is a beneficial thing. I mean, one of my seconds in the BCBC, no way I hit it without talking to Sean Borman that morning and him telling me to include the turf sprinter that won. I can't remember.
Glass slippers.
Yeah, glass slippers. No way I include that horse, and I'm out of the contest. There's no way I'm done because I went all in that spot. Yesterday, I did Talking Horses with Andy Serling, and sometimes I want to choke Andy because he's so crazy, but he had...
Remember, this is not the usual. Normally we say absolutely anything on here because it's limited to just the Inner Circle people who they're in the Inner Circle, the circle of trust. This one, anybody can basically be watching. So be careful what you say, JK, just for today. You can go back to being unexpurgated later.
Ian wants to choke me sometimes too. It's all good. But
he's not alone, to be fair.
Yeah. He had made such a good point about Italian Soiree that I completely missed. And there is a 0% chance that I use Italian Soiree if it's not for him. So
what was just curious about Italian Soiree specifically? What was the point?
That she was a better sprinter and that she had two pretty good turf races in the Jessamine and the Summer. Not the Summer. What's the female version of that? The Natalma. And she had pretty good turf races going along there. So you combine the fact that she had good turf races with the fact that she's a better sprinter. You put those two together, you have a turf sprint.
Yeah.
So
that's pretty good. That's a pretty damn good point. And to your point, this gives you a chance to bounce ideas off of. Listen to our ideas, decide you want to fade our picks, whatever it is. It's just another opportunity. And the other cool thing is being able to tackle this stuff more in real time. You know, sometimes we're handicapping on a Thursday. I mean, this is a perfect example, right? We're handicapping on a Thursday. We're doing these races and we don't know it's going to be off the turf. We don't have the scratches. Now we do. So my first question for you is more of a general one. We'll get more into the nitty-gritty handicapping when we'll do a little nitty-gritty here, but there'll be even more of that when we hand over to Mikey. Thanks to everybody in the comments there. I see Lou and McKins and Richard C commenting so far. Shout out to you guys for tuning in live. We've got a good audience watching live, actually, which is pretty cool. Usually these shows are more popular on the replay, but I want to talk to you about the process. You know, everybody gets bummed with off the turf. I mean, and geez Louise, have New York racing been unlucky, or the fans, the track, everybody, with the weather we've had on some of these Saturdays. It's just been brutal. But, and I say this not to shill for Naira because I don't do that anymore, but just because I really believe it, there still can be great opportunities on these days. I mean, I think the basic thing that we've talked about on the show for years is you'll see a lot of overbet figure horses on an off the turf day because people are betting turf figures on dirt, which is a mistake. But let me ask you, JK, specifically about your process. When do you start thinking about, oh, if there's weather in the forecast, if this comes up, when do you start thinking about like what's going to happen in an MTO world? And then talk me through your process of how you get your ass wired on straight when it comes to handicapping days like today, where we have a bunch of off the turf and some more uncertainty to follow.
Yeah, I don't like double work. So like a lot of times if I have a feeling the weather's going to be bad, like I will wait to the last possible minute to handicap, because there's nothing more annoying than spending 20 minutes handicapping a turf race and then it comes off and it's like you did that for nothing.
Right.
So I try to wait to the last possible minute. Or maybe I'll just do like a quick overview if I'm, and then I'll kind of come back to it. That's the first thing. The second thing is I just look for horses. I mean, like everyone else, I look for horses that have dirt form or have a significant class edge, even though they're turf horses. But that usually happens like lower level stuff. You don't really see that in like some of the allowance races and graded stakes races. You don't really see like some huge turf class edge, so you'll use them anyways on the dirt because they're just a better animal. That doesn't happen that often. So, I mean, I don't really do much. I try not to think about it. I don't get obsessed about it. I don't worry about it that much. I just, when the scratches come out, you just kind of start over, and that's where I'm at. I look for horses that are going to be forward. Right. There's no way I'm taking a closing turf horse ever. I don't care what happens. If they're like a forward type turf horse, because then they can avoid the kickback. I think the kickback in for turf horses is a little bit confusing for them. So yeah, I don't do anything too crazy. But the one thing I don't do is I just don't think about it that much.
Do you spend any time looking at mud breeding?
No, not even.
I don't really either. It's much more to me, like you said, I'm much more concerned about horses that are going to be forward and or get clean trips. You know what I mean? If it's a stalker drawn outside, like that's fine in the mud to me, unless assuming the rail isn't golden.
Yeah. And I'm also that like there's no sloppy racetrack is the same.
Right.
It's muddy, there's sloppy, it's been raining, it rained a little bit, it was opened up, it wasn't opened up. I don't really think too much about it.
Props to JD for joining us in the chat. Thanks for coming along board. We're probably running out of time to be able to do much in terms of answering comments, because I do want to just roll through these races quickly with you, but I do want to give my general advice on these days as well. It's twofold. One is I am absolutely less inclined to play horizontals. I'm going to try to be more vertically oriented, or if I'm playing horizontals, I'm going to be leaning much more towards a double than a pick four because of whatever other chaos might be coming down the line in terms of weather, etc. And the other thing I'll say, and this is just stolen directly from Mike Maloney in Betting with an Edge, the idea, and he means this for any day, but it's like triply true on a day with weather. You really need, the phrase he uses is you have to guard your time. And in other words, and this is also to JK's point about not wanting to do too much more work than you have to. You want to have a good sense of when you're going to get those scratches. And you don't want that to be when you're walking the dog, going to the gym, chatting with your partner, whatever. You want to be able to use that time between when you get the final decks for the day and the start of the racing day to be able to really look things over. And in some instances, do some deep diving, maybe even for the first time, if you have to, if you're looking at much later races, especially. So that's just something to think about. If there's weather in the area, and JK, you do this too, when we've referred to it as days that are timed to the minute, right? Like where you just have so much crap going on, and I will sometimes do this, and I think you do the same thing. Like take out your calendar and mark maybe even down to 15-minute blocks what you're going to do for the day. I would really want to mark out on a day like today from 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock, like recap, like get quiet, be able to do your thing. And because if you just continue on like it's a normal day and then you're referring back to your work from Thursday, you're going to be, behind the eight ball. True or false?
Yeah, no, I I basically I worked ahead a little bit, and then, I saw there was some weather, so I just kind of pulled up on all the turf races. I kind of hit the dirt races pretty heavy, just to have those done. Because, and luckily, and here's the thing too, I didn't do a deep dive into the turf races like the 9th, that allowance race. I didn't do the deep dive, so I didn't waste any effort. I didn't waste any time. And now it's a 3-horse field, and it takes me 4.5 minutes to look at it. So
let's go through some thoughts. Let's go through some of your thoughts. Pick a race that you're interested in betting today. Do you have? You got to ask the perpetual question, which we appreciate. B. Cappin asking. Have you thought of it in terms of a best bet, or just if you don't have a best bet, talk to me about races where you think you'll be getting involved, and give me an overview of your thoughts.
Yeah, I'll just kind of roll through. What is this? I don't know if it's the pick 5. Whatever race 8 is. Is that the pick 5?
That's the pick 5.
Yeah. So, I think everyone knows a little bit about Farbridge, but I don't trust that horse. And I do think that he ran well last time at 1 mile and 1/8, that it's too short. So I think getting back to a longer distance is going to help him quite a bit. He has won on turf, not listed as firm. He's 2 for 5. But the horse that I'm going to make sure I have in here is the 2 El Razine.
Yeah, that's my top pick too.
The horse, I thought, they got a nice kind of a setup type race last time, going 1 mile and 1/16, which is too short for El Razine. El Razine wants to go further, and El Razine is undefeated at Saratoga, right? And both on the inner turf. If I'm not mistaken, I think this one's on the inner.
This is on the inner, and they moved the Diana to the melon, I believe.
Yeah, so he likes the inner. He likes the distance. It's a setup. I'm going to use both of those horses in race 9.
Let me chime in quick on El Razine, because I said before about breeding on wet dirt, I don't look at. Breeding on soft turf, I absolutely look at. And you cannot have better breeding than this pedigree cross of English Channel and Kitten's Joy for El Razine. So there's not more weather in the area, is there? I mean, these races think
it looks sunny out.
It looks okay. This is, I like your forget any meteorological instruments. Just look out the window. I like that. Yeah, looks clear enough. Anyway, love El Razine in there. Continue on, my friend. Race number 9 this one is off. Yes.
Yeah, and this one got scratched down pretty heavy. And a lot of the MTOs got scratched too, which is weird. So, the 10 Common Defense obviously has some back races, but
yes,
it's been a long layoff. So I don't necessarily trust. Let's see if he hasn't responded. I texted Kenny and asked if he was ready. If he tells me before, I'll let you guys know. I'll use the 10 and the 14. Dave Donk horse, wire to wire last time. The figure's not a blazing fast figure, but it worked well enough. And then I don't know. The 5 could win, but I'll probably use him just for insanity insurance. If I'm going to go 2,
5's out. Webslinger is out. Yeah, let me run down. Oh, I'm in the wrong race. I'm in the wrong race. Sorry, host fail. We get those on the Inner Circle shows too. Apologies. Continue with your.
So there's 3 in there, right? The 5.
The 5.
Yeah, he stayed in the 5.
Gilded Kraken. That's
I'll probably use that one just for insanity insurance. But I'm not excited about it. It's just I don't think I have a choice. Race 10 is, what are we doing here? Oh, I'm going to use the 4 General Partner, who I think is just really damn good.
Yeah. But
Scotland also has some races where this horse could be really damn good. I wanted to make sure I have that one. And then I had one more horse in here. The 10 Concrete Glory gets back to Lasix, has another one that has some really big numbers earlier this year, late last year, that I wanted to have just in case General Partner doesn't fire. I trust General Partner, but not quite can't lose trust, I think I might use those 3. And then I guess the Diana is probably worth pausing on it a little bit. I do think She Feels Pretty is the best turf horse, but this smells like she's going to get beat.
That's interesting that you say that. I sat down and looked at this race. Oh, back to the previous race just for a second, because I'd feel host failure if I didn't mention this horse, because I really do like running Son of a Gun in there, just because I think there's a ton of speed, and it just feels like Rosario's going to deliver that horse late. And I don't disagree with any of the horses you said, but I'd feel silly to not chime that in. But back to the Diana. Yeah, I sat down with this race expecting to love She Feels Pretty, and I just didn't. And I did love Excellent Truth. Is that where you ended up?
I mean, no, because here's the thing with excellent Truth and dynamic pricing. Like, let's remember back to last week where Chad made the decision to run Zulu Kingdom in the mile race rather than the mile and whatever the hell it was for the grade 1, the Belmont Derby.
Mile and an eighth, yeah.
So, like, that's what Chad does. And I've had these conversations with him before where he really does get so in depth with his horses to the 16th of a mile of like where they're better at. And I used to kind of think like, come on, Chad, what's the difference between a mile and a 16th and a mile and an eighth, or a mile and a mile and 16th, like whatever. But he really is that honed in. So like if he thought that like Excellent Truth and dynamic pricing were better longer, then I think he would have run last time in the New York if he thought they were. I think he thinks shorter is better for them. And I just worry that one of those two is just going to be – I just think they're going to be overbet as alternatives. I know Chad's won this race 8 out of the last 9 years. And one of those two horses could certainly win. I'm not trying to say they can't win. I'm just saying in this race like this 5-horse field, I think you have to try to just pick one horse.
Right. Well, who's your one?
I mean, I guess it's going to be She Feels Pretty, but it feels gross.
You just said it feels like she's going to get beat and she's your pick.
I know, but I feel like and I heard today on the call how to pronounce the two's name, and it's wild. It's like Choicia,
isn't it?
No, it's like something very like Schwasia.
Okay, I can see Schwasia. Going for the full French.
I mean, she ran so bad on soft ground on this turf course. I just don't think I don't think she likes it. It's going to have some.
I don't like her dynamic pricing at all. I think Excellent Truth wants every bit of a mile and an eighth based on the overseas form and just how she acts in her races. And she just hasn't been seen to good effect. She had a tough trip last time. She would have won the Jenny Wiley if she wasn't interfered with. I mean, I love her here.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if I had to pick the alternative, it would be Excellent Truth. I think if it's because there's no pace in here, if it becomes a slow paced race and it's a sprint for home, then give me the best sprinter, like we said last week with Think Big. I guess that's Excellent Truth. I guess she's the best. To me, she's probably the best turn of foot type. I worry about her stamina, but I don't think this is going to be a stamina test because they're not going to go that quick. I wish She Feels Pretty. I don't know. Maybe Cherie will do this, but let me back up. I would love to see them be aggressive with She Feels Pretty, open up by 3 and run the rest of them off their feet. She's the best horse in there. She's not the slowest horse in the world. She's kind of tactical, but I worry they won't do that because why they added the blinkers is they felt like she wasn't really necessarily finishing her races. She was waiting on horses, so they put the blinkers on her. So if she's out there on the front end by herself, is she going to get kind of confused and not, so I don't know, man. I don't know. It's not a race where you have a strong opinion is the way I'd read it. If I were you, I wouldn't put a lot of my money through this one personally. Yeah, no, I mean, luckily I don't love the sequence. So it's not like it's like I have to be involved. I mean, I think She Feels Pretty is the best horse. I think she's going to win. But I'm going to be very nervous if I was single to her when they get in the gate. Gotcha. What about the nightcap? What did you have in there? Off turf here as well. You could take out the 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, and 10. Yeah, I mean the 9 has that fast figure on the dirt. I don't. Yeah, I mean I think the 9 is an interesting one that I want to make sure I have. The 6 Girls Rock for Whit Beckman. This horse had a nice. Had showed speed on both those dirt races. So that'll be the sneaky one. I'll probably pick the 6 Girls Rock. I'll use the 6 and the 9. And that's really it. I don't need the Wesley Ward horse that's run on the turf twice. And I don't need the horse on the far outside for Mitch Friedman. I just need those 2. Makes sense to me. What about earlier on the card? Any stronger type opinions? Anything you might build around? It doesn't sound like a day where the late picks should be your main focus. The first 2 races are pretty good, I think. I mean, maiden races, there's if you look at the first, there's a $250,000 OBS, $325,000 OBS. There's a $1.4 million OBS. And there's a $725,000 horse in there too. So good race to watch and make notes if nothing else. Do you have it? Yeah. And this 4 Tagger Mean or whatever. They're like this new kind of group from Libya, and they're actually the ones who bought that sales topper from the July racing age sale for $1.7 million. That Honor AP that won the Bashford Manor called Romeo.
Yes,
they bought that horse, and their stable name is like Tagermeen.
Yeah, Tagermeen Racing, and this
and
horse
they
is
named
called
this
Tagermeen.
horse. They paid $1.4 million to name the horse Tagermeen. The horse,
you would think it could run a little.
The horse went 9-4 in April, and then was with Asmussen on May 7th training again. We saw the same thing last week with Ewing, that horse for Mark Casse. Like, the horse is obviously fast as hell, going 9-4, and is obviously fit because they get him fit as they can possibly be to go as fast as they possibly can in those sales. And he came right to the track with no problems and hasn't missed a beat working. That horse looks tough, but race
even
2,
money in the early betting. There's probably 10,000 in the pool, but still it feels like a live one to start off the day if the thing looks right in the paddock and continues to be bet correctly. What about this 2-year-old filly maiden that goes as race 2?
Yeah, they say it's funny. They say that the buzz in the streets is Ginger Ale is like the next fastest horse in the world.
Okay,
but I've also heard that she needs longer.
Interesting.
And the longer came from a more reliable source. So
that's interesting. I mean, Into Mischief, you would think whatever, but it must just be an observation based on the physicality. So that's interesting. That's interesting bit of scuttlebutt there. Yeah. What's your inclination there when the word is sort of contradictory?
It's which version of the word do I trust the most?
Gotcha.
As I said, the version of needs longer. But sometimes these guys who say they need longer, they just kind of hedge their bets a little bit. Like, the horse is really talented, but
also might just be better longer. How many great horses have we seen that can win, that are better routing, still win sprinting because they're just that damn good?
Yeah. I mean, like Cherie said yesterday, I saw Cherie yesterday in the 1863, and I asked her about the Lady Eli colt, and she said like he's trained well enough on the dirt, he's going to be better on the grass, but like he could definitely like surprise me and hit the board. And then he won. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't think she was like cold watering.
No, they don't. Look, they sometimes it's like if you think about it from their mental state, it's like you have to prepare yourself and your owners for if you get too bullish and then the horse runs a good third, it still feels like an L. If you say that and the horse runs a good third, it's a W. And the horse wins, and it's like, oh my God, what a superstar. And even if it doesn't run well, it's like, oh, they'll do better next. It's just. Some of this is just expectations management at the end of the day. So
I agree.
There's nothing to criticize there, but yeah, it's you start to know, and depending on your relationship with the person, you can start to craft an idea. But what, in terms of your own betting, if you play that second race, what would your inclination be to single that horse or to include some others with this Ginger Ale?
The horses also have to search results. Yeah, I mean, I don't need the 2 inside horses. Amelia Green, for those who don't know, used to work for Todd, so she, I think that she knows the path to get one ready first time out. I guess that horse is okay. Fraudster, the $400,000 OBS for Todd, obviously could probably run a little bit. I would be okay just like leaning on the fact that this horse is one of the is going to be really good, and there's not a whole lot else in here. So even if longer is better, this will be just fine for now.
Gotcha. We just got a minute left, Jonathan. Any final thoughts on any of these races or anything else on your mind before I'll stick around for a bridge segment? Let's see. Somebody once again pressing you for a best bet. Do you have one?
I like El Razine quite a bit.
Yeah, I like that.
El Razine quite a bit. I'm going to try to beat Resilience in the 5th. Don't be lazy just because he ran in the Kentucky Derby. He ran like crap last time. I don't think he's that good. I'm going to take Accretive in there. The horse that Chad used to have. That's with George now.
Yeah, Accretive. Remember, there was all kinds of buzz around him for a hot minute back in the day. Good stuff. All right, there you go. There's your best bet. There's a bunch of ideas. Enjoy your day. I'm going to see Weird Al tonight with Perrin. How fun is that going to be?
That's going to be wild. Where's that at?
At the Garden. So
okay.
We've got great seats. Friend of mine who used to work there got us hooked up with some lounge tickets. It's going to be fun. I like your hoodie, by the way. Miracle win from the boys last night. Hopefully those good times will continue. Good stuff, brother. All right, you hop out, and we'll start to bring in the other crew post haste. But Jonathan, thanks so much for your time, and we'll see how you do. And we'll see you on TV. Make sure to check out JK. He'll have a bunch of real-time updates as things goes along. Mikey, come on in here and say hello. There's the man. What's going on, Mikey? Everything good?
Yeah, real good. Another Saturday Inner Circle. I think I've done almost every single one of these, so a lot of people don't get to see them, but if you're part of the Inner Circle, then you get to see it every weekend on usually Saturday mornings. So we've had a few deviations, but we're just talking about the races of the day and trying to, steer people to different opportunities. So if you're if you're interested in Inner Circle, definitely get on and inthemoneypodcast.com/plus. You can see different options there and jump in on these Inner Circle shows because there's so many good horse players on here. And we're looking at opinions, maybe not necessarily that are out there. We're looking for spots that you might not find other places. And I think that's the big positive.
For sure. We can rabbit hole a little bit like we were doing in there. We can start talking about techniques. We'll talk about, I'm never going to talk about backstretch gossip on the main shows just because so much of it is crap. But on here, the way I frame it is conversations we want to have anyway. So if, we hear something from, that Will Humphrey heard from, on the backstretch, or JK's, he wasn't kidding about texting. He'll text a lot of people, and, with a tight group, I think he's comfortable sharing some of that stuff. And look, a lot of times that's not what you're paying for. What you're paying for is the ability to participate in the conversations we all want to have anyway before these races go. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh, you're going to get the secret, blah, blah, blah. But it is just kind of a fun, different, much more casual vibe that we can provide on these shows. And if you're a serious horse player, I think it's well worth doing. And let me say this to the people who are plus people, but not Inner Circle people. You got to do that. Do the extra tier. I mean, maybe you're grandfathered in at some low price or something. But look, even in that case, I'd pay the extra money and do it because these shows, I think they're really worth it. I mean, we've had some of the best opinions we've ever given out on this side of things. And to the point I made earlier, it's just a great way to support everything we're doing here and allow us to continue to innovate with what we're doing for our Kentucky Derby and Breeders' Cup packages and our summer meets packages, and supporting things like the pro player shows that, at least if Sean is involved, are always going to be free and are well worth paying for. So that's just another way of looking at it. Get involved in themoneypodcast.com/plus. I'll stick around for the bridge here for a couple more minutes with you, Mikey, and then I will. Oh, there's the team. We got everybody in there. Jackson, Chris, what's going on, boys? Everything good?
Doing well.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and Pete, I texted you about Newmarket. I don't need that opinion anymore because Italy had a horrible trip and lost.
Okay. I apologize. I did not look at Newmarket today. There's Matt Miller, who is another one of our two-time qualifiers on the In the Money Horseplay Tour. He mixed it up yesterday. He played all the twos. Matt, sometimes
he played ones and twos, and I think he had another ticket too.
I've never had somebody I love so much that I occasionally just get the gut instinct to strangle for making a mockery of everything we do. But that's Matt in a nutshell.
He has great instincts. I'll give him that. Great instincts.
It's fabulous. His support of everything we do is actually incredibly meaningful to me, and I'm glad when I see him win, even though it's hard to spend there handicapping the amount that I do and then see that. But he explains it well. Unclaimed space and all that. We'll talk more with him about that. But it was a great, the whole roster yesterday was once again so many of our In the Money people up there and doing well. It's going to be a difficult decision as to who to interview for this week's show, but we'll definitely get to that. Jackson, I'm looking forward to seeing you. Are you going to be at Del Mar next weekend?
Oh yeah. I'm ready. I'm counting down the days. I got a little timer over there. 6 days left.
I'm on TV like Friday and Saturday, but I'm assuming if it's what they usually do, they'll have me on there mostly for the East Coast and then just a few Del Mar races. So I'm hoping it'll be boozing time by race 4 or whatever, and we can have a good one.
They got the late pick now is $3 minimum. 50% takeout. We'll be ready for that one.
Yeah, I love that. That is, there's probably more. There's got to be some more fun stuff we can do to, at least just in our own capping, or maybe for the Inner Circle like that. That's not a terrible bet share idea even for next week. maybe trying to do something with a pool like that. Art chiming in here. Oh, nice. Thank you, Art. We appreciate you as well. I mean, communication. There's a great line about communication. I'll leave you with this. I'll let Mikee be the proper host for the second half of this thing. But there's a great line about communication where communication isn't about what's being said. It's about what's being heard. And that to me is so central to the reason why I thank the listeners at the end of every show. It's like, without you guys and gals, we're nothing. So thank you, Art, and everybody in the comments watching live and watching the replay. We hope we will convince you to sign up for the Inner Circle. And Jackson, Chris, and Mikee, I'm going to get out of here and leave it to you for the rest of the show. But I will be watching, so maybe I'll chime in the comments, especially if you make fun of me. All right, we'll talk later.
Yeah, I want to say hi to Sylvain in the chat there. We sat together at Vegas this past year.
So this is a typical version of the Roundtable. I know we've had a couple bonus JK and TTF segments to cover Saratoga because, those guys are tied in and locked into those races, and we want to hear their opinions. Now, we're on our side of the show, we're typically focused on trying to find spots that are a little bit separate than the mainstream coverage. So we get there's a lot of Saratoga Pick 6 coverage out there. There's a lot of the main focus races that you can find information on. But for the Inner Circle, we typically try to look for spots that maybe other people aren't looking for. And then we take a look at early in cards. We'll look at other places, different sequences that we want to play. So with Chris and Jackson here, these guys are betting. They're looking for spots that they want to put their money into, and they're kind enough to share it with everybody, especially on these Inner Circle shows. So, Chris, we didn't talk a lot offline, so I'm curious where your eye found today. I know that there's some nice racing at Ellis. We got Colonial back in the mix. Saratoga's wet, so I know you thought you maybe had a couple early there, but where do you want to start this part of the Inner Circle show off this week?
Well, we can knock out this early Saratoga stuff first. Then Woodbine, Colonial, Ellis. I've got plays there that I like better than Saratoga, but I do have a couple spots early that I hadn't heard any of our people talk about.
Let's jump in. Jackson, I'm sure you probably looked at New York also, so you can weigh in here on these shows and these races. But you got a lot of heavy 2-year-olds, sloppy track, Chris, early. We got some scratches in there. Where'd you go early?
Race 3, I like Art Fair quite a bit since Adam Lasix only has one bad race. You can't really find an excuse that day, but I really like to cut back from the 7.5. I've had a lot of luck with the horses coming out of Churchill that I'd give big figs to cutting back since we, shifted to Saratoga. I've had 2 or 3 run back that scored pretty good. Do you have anything here in race 3, Jackson?
I like the 3 a little bit. I feel like a race where there's a lot of speed in there. The horse I definitely did not want is Uncle Jim. He's going to be probably the second choice, maybe the third choice. But yeah. I was looking for a closer. I think the 3 and 4 might be the right ones. It just feels like a race where a lot of them have the same speed and they could line up across the track and set it up for someone from off the pace.
I agree. And Art Fair wasn't a super strong play, but one thing I love about New York CAWs, and you kind of got to pay attention. You might have a horse that you think is going to go off at a short price or 3-1. You may look up, it may be 8-1. I know I've seen some weird things there so far since we've shifted over to Saratoga. Race 4 is a super tough race. The 5 and 6 horses, I think, are AUs and multis, but the 6 CPG, if the price is right, I'm going to make a little bet on this one. I thought this horse improved quite a bit first off the clean last time for Dan Ward. They entered it at Monmouth, decided to scratch, shift to Saratoga. I think that's a positive. I think the price would be right to take a little shot there.
Chris, I just want to ask you a couple things here real quick, because I know that your records are very extensive and that you're looking at scratch boards. You're paying attention to where horses are entered. And this is a great example of that, because I remember this horse was entered at Monmouth also. But just talk about some of those notes that you're taking. I know you make your own figures. There's a reason, that you can find a lot of these plays is because you're doing the work.
Right. And there's so many things behind the scenes that us as horse players don't know. But just thinking offhand of examples, I'll find horses where I may have had them scratched out of a maiden 20 claiming spots at, say, Monmouth, and then they show up at a maiden special weight at Aqueduct or Saratoga. And typically that's probably a owner decision, not a trainer one. That's not, that'd be a big negative for me. I keep track of off-track scratches because eventually you'll have spots where, okay, we got rained off 3 times in a row. We've entered now. Okay, we're running our horse. Owners want to see their horses run. Trainers get put in positions that they might necessarily make the decision. The owner steps in and makes it. You might have horses running in allowance that was entered in a stakes race, and the trainer scratched because it was a little too tough. That's a big positive. Lots of different angles there.
Yeah, but if you don't keep track of it, you're not going to find that stuff in the form. And then that's another, thing with these shows is Chris is giving you that information. He's taking the time, he's doing the work and compiling a lot of that, and he can find those and pass those on to the listeners. So that's just one more benefit of the inner circle. Jackson, I know that you do a lot of, different things in your process. What are some of the things that you do? I'm not sure you do that level of, maybe you do. I don't know. Talk about it a little bit.
No, I don't really do anything too extensive. I just try to watch as many races as I can for the most part. And I don't know. I love this stuff. So a lot of it, I kind of just remember it all. I don't know why I do it. I don't need to go back and watch them all a million times, especially with the tracks that I'm like dialed in on, like Del Mar. I can kind of remember them all. Even Saratoga. It just kind of just depends. So I try to treat every race, just go race by race, because I think every case is different and every horse is different, and all the circumstances are constantly changing. So I try to be open-minded to everything and kind of just go from there.
What's amazing, I don't remember what I had for lunch on Monday, but I can remember
I don't either.
From a month ago. I mean, it's just the way it is.
I hadn't seen my wallet in like 2 years. I have no idea where I left it. Like, my money's wadded in my pocket, but I can tell you finished third in a Derby 15 years ago.
Jackson, I know I sort of hijacked this race 6 here with Chris, race 4. I'm sorry, for at Saratoga. Did you have any thoughts there, or are we moving on?
The 4 scratching definitely changes the race. I wanted to give a little look to the 2 because I think the 2 Grey Wing now could get the lead by himself in there. It's not a strong opinion. It was a race I was with Chris with the 5 and 6, with the 4 being in it. With the 4 coming out, I think it does change the race a little bit. So maybe a small win bet on the 2. Just hope he gets to the front and can shake loose in that spot, because he's got races. He's very consistent, but when he's good, he's awfully good and can be right there.
Chris, are you interested in this early pick 5, these early sequences with some of these spots, or is this just more like a vertical type, double
with the weather? Probably not. I'll be focusing on win bets. I'll probably play in the New York contest today and take them early swings and see what happens. Maybe a double. I'll win bet and play doubles in my horses in 3 and 4. With the 2-year-old races, kind of a lack of information now. It's a wet track, so the workouts we see typically are going to be over a dry track. So it's a lack of information prevents me from getting in the early pick 5. And then the rest of the card's been talked about all over the place. And you can find that Pete JK just talked about it. The only thing I had late, I like 2 Malachuk in the 7th a little bit. And General Partners, 1 I'll play. The track will dry out and be fine then, but he's got to work out a trip. If any of my first bets come in the contest, General Partner will be my all-in go.
Jackson, finish up New York for us. Anything you like in these early more races, or I know that like we talked, the late races have been beat to death, but maybe you have something that people would be interested in.
Yeah, well, Matt's asking for a lock in the first half of the card. I think it's Resilience. I know JK said he doesn't like Resilience, but boy, this race coming off the turf, he's facing a bunch of dirt horses, and I think he's finally doing what he wants to do, which is going 1 turn. You look at his last race, I thought he was going to win that race for fun, coming around the top of the stretch, and he just hit a wall that last furlong. And same thing in the Kentucky Derby. You guys remember the Derby that year? He made this huge move on the turn while he was like 5 or 6 wide, made this huge move, he was right there, top of the stretch. He was right with the leaders, and then he just hit a wall again. And I think this is probably what he just wants to do at this point in his career, is go 1 turn, and he's facing a much, much softer group. I think his form is very dirtied up. It just seems like circumstances for this horse today are all in his favor, and he's going to win this race.
What price do you really accept on him, though? Because he's got to be short in here, right? I mean, this is sort of like now or never.
Yeah, I think you might get like 2 to 1 on him. A creative always takes money for no reason, as does. Is the 11 still in? There's a bunch of scratches. I forgot to check.
11 still in, yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he'll take a lot of money too. I think 2 to 1's.
I got him if you need him.
I think you'll get 2 to 1. I think 2 to 1's very fair on that horse. I think he's a very likely winner. I just think he's way better than those horses, and he's finally going to get the right kind of trip.
Anything late?
For the trip we want,
New
I should
York.
say.
Anything late?
I would just say I like the 12 in that race, which to me, when I hear these different, I hear a different opinion from JK. Jackson says a different opinion. I've got a different opinion. It tells me I don't want anything to do with the race. That's just the way I look at it. I'm looking for races where I have strong opinion and I can cash a ticket, find a way creatively, or just straight win bets.
Chris, we got your. I imagine this is your wife chiming in here.
Yes.
Amanda, I tell him all the time that I'm very impressed with how well he's married. I just let him know that on a regular basis. So anybody that's coming in asking for speed figures in the morning is I think he married.
I definitely married way over my head. Also want to say hi to my friend Bilgen. He's from Turkey. He's in the chat as well.
Lots of people watching. We have a great audience, almost 300 people here watching this Inner Circle. This is typically behind the paywall, and then it's something that we're doing every Saturday at 11 o'clock in the morning. We get horse players in, and it's not just the three of us all the time. We get other guys that write for the website. Eric Solomon shows up. Will Humphrey shows up. We get Jake. We get PTF on a lot of these shows. So we get a lot of different opinions from guys that bet. That's the big key here. We're not on in here. These are all guys that are going to put money behind these opinions. So for me, that's something that's very important to me whenever I'm listening to people. If you're betting, then I'm interested. So the other guys that are on here spewing stuff aren't betting. So, just take that for what it's worth. Let's go to other spots then. If we're done with New York, are we done with New York? Everybody good there?
I'm good.
Chris, jump to the next place you want to go. You want to go to Kentucky? You have stuff in Ellis?
We have scratches at Colonial, so we'll go there, and I'll try to avoid any opinions I have that were, similar to a show that's on the. I believe you can find it in the podcast section or wherever.
Pete
Did you look at Colonial, Jackson or Mike?
I looked at the stakes race, and that was it.
Okay.
I do like a couple there, actually. So, yeah, we can go there for sure.
All right. Well, I'm going to race 4. Anything before then?
No, go ahead.
Drilling for Gold probably will go off favored here. Last race in October, horse to beat, arguably, dropped a 20 maiden to get the win. I like the 9 Kansas Comet. Broke his maiden back in 23. Took a long layoff. Then you come back, show good speed. Just kind of got swarmed at the 16th. Got a little tired there. Second off layoff. Expect that one to move forward. Any kind of price. I'll have a moderate win bet on the 9 Kansas Comet. And I might, if the numbers are right when I look at the probables, I might have a backup exacta in case Drilling for Gold catches him late. But that'll all depend on price. I would be next to race 7.
Let's
good there, Mike.
One thought there in race number 4 on horses like Drilling for Gold, and I sort of want both you guys' opinions on this. But what are your thoughts on a horse that basically has to make that big of a drop and to kind of get a win, and then is stuck at that same claiming level? I mean, it's not like that they stepped this horse into anything. There was a layoff. I mean, I just think that there's a lot of red flags for the 5 in that race.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I was trying to find something to be against. My problem is I couldn't find a whole lot. And, the 9 is just where I landed.
Jackson, anything at Colonial? Did you look there?
I looked at later races, but just to answer your question on that horse, they already dropped him in for the tag last time and they won. Obviously, he wasn't claimed, and I think at this point they're just bringing him back in a realistic spot. It's not like they know what they have at this point. They cost $300,000. They already dropped him for 20. They're already willing to give him up for 20, and they're just bringing him back in a race that makes a lot of sense where he can be competitive. This isn't a drop that it's not. Really
and I think the mile's a little too sharp for him.
I don't know. I get it, but the horse was a $300,000 yearling. They had to drop to 20. Now they've been sitting since October. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I mean, there's just not my kind, really.
Yeah, that's fine.
Let's go to race 7. Chris, go ahead there. 25 claimer. Another pretty wide open race. I mean, there's a few scratches there, though. The 3 is out, the 4 is out, the 10 is out.
Yeah, the 9 Wish Me Home comes off a 7-month layoff. The only bad race this horse has had since being in the Russell barn was basically that last right before the layoff. Every race in 2023, 2024, wins this race, in my opinion. I have to assume they have this horse back, ready to regain its old form. There's several win contenders in here that can take money. So I think we'll get a decent price, you know, with the layoff's a little risk, but I think the price will be worth the risk.
Any thoughts on the one there, Chris? Claimed at Gulfstream, shipped here.
The one I'm against. That horse is, you know, it can win here. Barn is, you know, sharp off the claim, but the horses it's ran against at Gulfstream, it's called weak fields and getting the lead. And I just didn't find any horses in there. So, oh, this horse beat this horse. You know, it beat this. There's nothing. It was running against claimers. Alley Johnny's the best horse at phase 2 back, and Salvatore Prince, and them horses are long in the tooth.
Jackson Alley-oop Johnny, one of our favorite horses. One thing I will say about the one though is he's kind of a dog fighter. He does like to kind of look him in the eye and then keep running. So just something to note about that one. Jackson, did you look at this race?
No, I did look at race 8 though. I want to ask Chris about that one.
Go for it.
Yeah, what do you think about the favorite, Dripping Gold? Because looking at it, is it Dripping Gold? I think his name is 2. Yeah, Dripping Gold. I feel like he's going to trip out in there. Like, isn't he just going to sit right behind the 5 and the 9? And he's just going to sit and walk it, as Ben Curtis does, and go right on by those horses. I know he's not exactly one machine, but I mean, his best races are better than this field.
I agree, but yet I don't totally agree. I'm not totally against, but you know, I found something else in there that I liked that I thought would be value, where I think Dripping Gold is going to be overbet. I think Dripping Gold should be around that 2-1, 5-2 range, in my opinion, and I think it's going to be much shorter than that.
I do too.
Yeah.
Who do you like in there, Chris?
Does the race that has got some mutual horses coming out of here, is it owner off the turf at Saratoga? The Vote No race, starting over is in it. Is that race still on the turf at Spa?
The only races that are on the grass are the two stake races.
Okay, I believe it is. Where I was going with this is I would kind of pay attention to see how Dripping Gold runs, because starting over runs 30 minutes in New York right after this just may help you there, because that was a horse that I kind of like today up there to include on tickets. But my main play here is 5, Kiki's Arrow, 6 for 5 since adding the blinkers prior to breaking the maiden. The March 12th win at Fairgrounds says about 1 1/16. That's much more like 1 1/8 race. So essentially, in my eyes, this horse is 2 for 2 at the distance. Comes in here, my figs are a little bit higher, stepping up in class and all, but I'm going to lean on that horse and try to beat Dripping Gold. And this was a tough race. I thought the 1, 3, 7, 8, 9 all had a little bit of a look. The 1 really at 30-1 would be my next go-to horse past the 2 and 5, but the 5 would be my main play.
You'll probably get every bit of 30-1 on the 1.
Yeah. I thought that horse was a little bit interesting when you look at the 1 1/8 race here at Colonial back in August of last year. That horse ran pretty well. It tripped out a bit, but there's not much in here to be scared of.
So, Chris, let me ask you this just generally. If you like the 1 even a little bit in this race, aren't you supposed to just chuck the favorite completely? Use the 5 on top mostly, and then use a little bit of the 1, and just don't even bother spending money on the 2. I mean, if the 2 wins, who cares? Like, whatever.
Are we talking about multis?
Anything.
I think he's talking more vertically.
Well, vertically, I will bet against the 2 all day. I know I may end up playing the 5 to win, and everything is so price dependent. I'm one of those guys, I can spend and do all this time, and if I do not like the price, then I might make a $10 action bet just to say I did and move on. I'm in my mind, I'm looking to win bet the 5 and maybe have a little bit of a win bet on the 1, because at a price like that, you can win bet 2 horses at a race and still be okay.
Sure.
But you got to do the math, blah blah blah. And yes, I will not bet the 2 no matter what. As far as a candidate to win, yes, the horse can win the race.
So a horse you guys didn't mention is the 3, which is quite surprising to me, considering shipped from California. I know California turf horses, but showed up at Churchill in a listed stake, and I thought raced pretty well against horses like Rebel Red, Highway Robber. I think those are better than these horses for sure. And now they find this spot here. Get Lasix back. That's, I think, a positive here. You get an inside draw. That pace last time was quite swift. This horse has shown speed in the past. I know It's been racing in longer races and excelled there, but the Mountain of Eight should be okay. I mean, look back at the race back in May of last year at this distance. I don't know. I thought this horse was interesting. I'm not crazy about Jamie Ness horses at Colonial. I pitch them more than not. It just doesn't seem to transfer. I don't know. He doesn't have the same, pop, let's just say, in Virginia as he does, in other places. So I don't know. I was interested in the 3. I've been chasing the 8 for about 10 races, it seems. And that's another one I probably would use on tickets.
Yeah, I could see the 8. Like I said, this was a tough race. There's many options. And, if they open up and my horse is 2-1, then I may just watch the race and see what happens and, move on.
What else you got at Colonial? I like the last race. I'm not sure. You guys like anything on the dirt race, that stake race there, race number 9?
Yeah, I do. And I think Jackson said he looked at this race until the 5. I don't know how you pronounce that, but the 5 is going to be favored and arguably the horse to beat. I know Nick liked this horse at Mama 2 back and it won, showed up, but I'm going to bet the 7, Sacred Thunder, who cuts back to a sprint after trying routing 4 times. Didn't really have much success. Last time this horse sprinted was January 25th. Was much the best. He would have beat the favorite that day by 2 or 3 lengths. He had all kind of traffic trouble. I think I'll get a really good price on that horse. And if I'm still have any money in my Colonial balance contest, if I need to play, that'll be the horse I'll play.
Jackson, where'd you go here?
Yeah, I thought the 3 was a little interesting. Studley Do Right. This is the horse I've always bet against him every single time, but he seems to have finally found the right situation today. I don't know if he's going to necessarily get the setup he wants, but I think 1 turn is good for him. Sprinting is good for him. And it's just a much softer field than he's been facing lately. His form just looks really dirty up. They've been going long. They've been going turf. They've been doing synthetic, just things that he just clearly doesn't want to do. This is his best game. He's run very well here at Colonial in the past, and he's going to finally be the right kind of price for me. I think 12-1 is more than fair. You can make a case he's one of the better horses in this race. I mean, it's not like anyone in here is really a major standout. So I'll give him a shot. The horse that's interesting, I think, is the 2, remarkably, for Belmont. He took a lot of money at Saratoga against a way better field against older. Now, he didn't run that great, to be honest, but it came in the slop, and his races as a 2-year-old are every bit as fast as what these horses are running right now as, summer 3-year-olds. So if he's able to improve off of that 2-year-old form, he'll be very tough, and Belmont Barn's on fire. So I'm curious to see how much money he takes, because I think that's going to tell a story about his chances.
Yeah, I know that Michael Donald likes the 3. He did make a pretty good case for this horse also on the pod he did with Pete. And he does write-ups on InTheMoneyPodcast.com too. So check out his work there because he does a lot of extensive work. So I always like to plug Michael's stuff. He's an excellent horse player that does the work, especially at Colonial Downs. His stuff is very much worth a read. So check out his stuff on the website. And with that horse too, just one quick thought on him. Is they got a little Derby fever with him, right? I mean, he won the Nashua there, and they jumped right into the Remsen, and then they were just showing up all over the place. They tried Turfway, they tried the Virginia Derby. I mean, and this horse just kept showing up at different spots. You guys might be right. This might be the spot that maybe would suit, and definitely a drop in class. So interesting spot for him. I'm just curious what kind of price we get. I know 12-1 morning line. I think this horse is going to take money in this race. I'm not really. The money's going to be spread around here. I just don't see them coming for the 5. This horse never really gets bet. So it's, there's going to be, if you can find the winner in that race, I think you're going to get paid because the money's going to get spread around there. There's not going to be anything under 2-1 in there for sure. Let's go to the last race here. And this is Inner Turf, State Bred, Maiden Specials. I liked a couple in here. I thought the 6 Flame Dancer was interesting, 10-1 morning line. And if you look back, that race at Laurel on November the 10th, that was a pretty tough race there. Face Cadra. That horse came back to just lose to a horse named Warming. That's Graham Motion. Really nice horse that I like out of that barn there. This horse has some back lines. You get Lasix, it's Delacour, 10-1 morning line. I just think that horse has a live look in the last race. And I thought the 11 was another horse that was interesting here. Kimber Spice coming from Churchill. Now, this horse has never been cheapened. I know an 0-for-8 maiden, but I like the jockey switch here. I like Tyler Connor. I think that he can pop with a lot of long shot type horses. This horse isn't going to take much money. And I think that, those Churchill maiden specials are really difficult. Some Keeneland maiden specials. This horse has been in tough. This is a better spot, I think, for this horse. You get 8-1 morning line. I like that. Like I said, I like the rider switch. So I thought a couple prices maybe in that last race. What did you guys think of this race?
I have way too many horses, so it's not a spot I'm looking to press anything up. If you made me pick one, I like the 5, but I didn't like nobody enough to have any kind of win bet outside of horizontals.
Jackson,
yeah, I thought Kimber Spice was interesting. I mean, she's an Oprah, whatever you said, maiden, she's drawn way out there, and her form is very dirtied up. I think you're going to get the right kind of price you want on her. Just got to work out a trip from that outside post. But her turf numbers, her turf races, arguably make her the one to beat in that race.
Yeah, I like her in there. Chris, back to you. I know you said you liked other spots. Do you want to go to Woodbine, Ellis? Where you want to go next?
Let's go to Woodbine.
Okay.
Canada.
Yeah, I knew Jackson would be about some Woodbine. Are you got anything before race 7, Jackson?
No, it's all late.
All right, perfect. Go ahead, leave with race 7. Let's go.
My first race I like is race 9. I got a bomb for you guys.
Oh, really?
It's a horse I bet every single time. We're betting her again today.
I'll get to 9 quickly then. Race 7 is going to be pretty simple. The one, Kitten's Romance, is going to be a very short price. Had a trip last time. Anybody can see it. Should win this race with ease unless has some kind of horrible trip again. But I'm looking to play that horse into a top pick I have in the next, which is going to be the 9 Sapphire Beach at a price. I have no idea what this horse is going to go off at because Woodbine, what little I played up to this year, me predicting the money has not been successful. Things have not. I haven't even been close to predicting the correct odds. I'm guessing this horse is going to be 6 or 7 to 1. I've never seen a horse break its maiden and get beat by 8 lengths, but that's what happened. Basically, at Churchill, took money that day for a reason. May 22nd, she went 48 under a stranglehold and the entire way. And then June 30th, she was easily best over 4-year-old Neon Icon. He's ran in multiple graded stakes, older. So, lots of work there. I'm going to bet that horse. If I'm not alive in a double from the 1, I'm going to be win betting Sapphire Beach. And the people that don't watch the show as Inner Circle members, I would bet this horse to place because a lot of my crush win bets, they run second. So I'm not betting the place, but that would be a good spot for you. So it's going to be a 1 into the 9 double. Race number 9, Jackson, go ahead.
Well, just real quick about the 9, because you said something about the workouts, and I wanted to get your opinion on it. Because obviously her breeding is just turf. And you said she's working really well on the dirt, which I don't know what the necessarily make of that, something like that. Because that wouldn't be something you would expect, I wouldn't necessarily think. So is that a good sign, or is that kind of like, oh, maybe this is actually a dirt horse?
I look at it until I see they won't handle a synthetic or turf. I'm not going to rule them out for that. But now when I see one working on the dirt that's, they got a lot of that knee action and climbing a bit.
Right.
And, I'm waiting for them to get on one of those surfaces. But a horse like this horse looks, the pedigree says turf, look great on the dirt. So I would bet this horse anywhere she showed up. I bet that horse on debut and, she was going to lose regardless. And that was one of the few times I got lucky and they took down an 8-length winner and saved my day.
A couple things here just to mention. Chris is definitely doing the work on the workouts, so that's one thing to note. They are able to use Lasix up here in Canada also for 2-year-olds, so that is something different, maybe a reason why they showed up in this spot. So just a couple things to note. Cassie also supplemented a couple of his horses and their first timers in here, the 5 and the 6. So that, I don't know what if that means anything or not, but the fact that they're doing that well, first timers, they're supplementing into a stakes race, I think says a lot for those two.
You have to respect Cassie, of course, doing that, but his record debuting in stakes races is not that good. I know he typically, just like Saratoga meet, when you see Cassie 2-year-olds and they don't have a start yet, that's because maybe they're a turf horse and it washed off the turf or something like that. He typically tries to get one in them before he puts them in a big spot. I think these are just stabs. And, if I get beat by Mark Cassie, it sure won't be the first nor the last time. So,
Jackson, let's go to race 9. Who do you like there?
Yeah, I like the 5. Good as gone. She's 20-1 in the morning line. I just think her form is really dirtied up. The race last year in November, she should have won. She had a horrific trip in there, lost by a nose. The race in December, it was another one where she just did not get a good trip at all. It was a snowstorm, I think, too, if I'm not mistaken. And then her races this year have been okay. Her first race this year, again, was making a big move on the turn, had a lot of trouble, and that was probably just a prep. She's a lot better going longer than she is at 6 furlongs. And then last time, again, I liked what I saw from her. She was going 7. She finally showed a lot more speed. And that was in a sprint race. That was a race that completely fell apart. She was up on the pace the entire time and ran okay to finish 4th in that race. Again, that race just completely fell apart. Now she's getting back to what she wants to do. There's a serious lack of speed in this race. She's going to be up towards the front, I would hope. And a lot of these horses I just don't trust. Like, there are a lot of deep closers. They're not really standouts by any means. They're going to be way over bet. Give me a horse that's going to be on the lead that's pretty much every bit as fast, that continues to get bad trips, and she's going to be 20-1. So give me Good as Gone in this spot. And
that's a good look there.
Let's hope she blows it up.
Yeah, that's a good look there, especially in a race like you mentioned that really you can't trust anybody in the race whatsoever. This stretch out, it's 2 sprints to a route. They need to go. That's the key. I think if they go with her, I think she'll be difficult. I don't know what odds you're going to get there, but 21 morning line, I mean, this one's going to play well in every sequence there because, I mean, this horse is quite hidden. I thought, just looking at this race, just real quick, I thought the 7, if you watch that replay, this horse raced pretty well last time. Now, did get a nice ride, but she seems to be figuring it out a little bit. So I thought that she was interesting. 6-1 morning line there, Princess Anastasia. And then I don't know how much money the 8's going to take. It certainly didn't take any money first time out, but I don't know if you remember that race, Jackson, there on May 31st. She was the only first timer, and it was one of the last race, Woodbine, and this horse galloped in there. I mean, this was quite a trip, and she galloped. I think she's going to get bet in here, so we'll see what we get from her second time out. Chris, who do you like?
That race has not been very productive since, which concerned me a little bit, and it did kind of fall apart.
Yeah, and this is a great example why I love these shows, whether I'm on them or just watching, because I didn't have the 5 anywhere. I respect Jackson's opinion enough. I'm going to play a pick 3 also with my 2 horses prior to this race. I was using 4 horses. Now I'm using 5. The 8 y'all talked about, I thought that filly was super impressive. And she just circled the field at will, and she could have carried me across there, and just drew away. Yeah, I know I'm exaggerating a little bit. We know I'm fat. I got it. The 3 smudge. The 3 smudge I'm going to use in that pick 3, but I debated tossing it. I'm probably going to use some to it. But not really one I would surely depend on. The Theft completely stopped last time over the grass, but her maiden breaker at Turfway was pretty good. But a little bit of negative there, kind of flipped her leads back a couple times. I want to have a little coverage of that one. Once you get past the 8, which is my top pick, the next horse that I really liked was the 1, Shade Pale, former Chad Brown horse, has plenty of back class. The lone route over the Topeka was going 9 furlongs, finished ahead of Aspen Dawn and Miss Tart, both who have shipped up to Woodbine and won during this meet. So I'm gonna weigh this pick 3 and different. I want most of my money into the 8. Then I want the 1's going to be a bigger price, but I'm probably going to use the 1 and Jackson's horse, the 5, kind of as my second 2 heaviest weighted. And then I'll have a little bit of money with the pick 3 with the 3 and 4 also.
Sounds like a really good sequence there at Woodbine. The last 2 races are turf races. Did you guys look at those? Anything in those races?
I do not. Jackson, if you have something, go ahead.
Yeah, the 10th, I thought Tis Romantic was a little interesting. Last time he did not get a good trip. I mean, he took a lot of money against Ever Dangerous, who ended up winning that race. It seems like the odds could flip this time, but he was just so wide. That was a 7.5 furlong race, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, and he was legit 3 wide the entire way around the racetrack. Just did not get the right kind of trip in there. And now he's found himself in a spot where going back to 1 turn, stretching out in distance, he's going to probably get the pocket trip that he really wants. I mean, look at his best races; they're all come when he's forwardly placed. I think he's going to finally get that trip. Smaller field, plenty of backlash, plenty of back numbers to run back to, and he's 8-1. I mean, I think there's legit excuse last time when he was even money. So give me him at 8-1 in here. It's another good race. I know it's a smaller field, but Ever Dangerous got the run of it last time. Ross Scar's not really one I would trust switching to turf. I think reasons to try to beat those 2 favorites.
A couple things on Tis Romantic, just because I did watch that replay also, and I just thought that horse spun its wheels quite a bit there. in that race and really never did get going until the very end of the race. So that's just something like Jackson says. But, claimed off a Drexler, which, that's something you kind of have to be leery of. I'm not sure, that's a tough gig to be, claiming off of that barn. But he's 8-1 morning line, so that horse is certainly going to play very well in multis. And I don't like the 5 at all in that race. So I thought the 7 had a little bit of a look, but the 6 will probably take most of the money in there. I don't really like the 5 at all. So, I could certainly see the 2. Anything in the last, Jackson, or you want to head to Ellis real quick?
I thought the 1 should probably win the last.
Yeah, the 1's supposed to win the last for sure. Yeah. There. Yeah, that horse has faced pretty tough ones. Chris, Ellis. Perfect 3 I thought was interesting today. Do you like anything else there?
I'll play the Turf Pick 3, but yeah, I like quite a bit there today. Race 2 early, the 5. Vertruin is going to be a very short price, cutting back in distance. Everything he's done going to the 3/4 mile distance just buries this group. The only other horse I would consider outside of the 5 would be the 2 Andy's Candy. Chris Hartman's dangerous off the claim, but that horse is going to have to improve greatly. To the next, which I'm going to play a double. I'm going to win bet that 5 if the price is anything at all. And I'm going to play a double into my next top pick, the number 4 Inglace. Has 1 bad race and 11 starts. It was going a mile at Churchill. My only hesitation with this gelding, he was claimed away from Hartman that we touched on in race 2 last time. Your PPs say that Vandenberg's 8% off the claim. The last 5 years, that's really 18%. And when it's sprinting, it's 29%. That barn knows what to do. So if anybody can claim off Hartman and be successful, they can. The 6 in there's a little interesting. It's 2 for 2 with Lasix and blinkers, but I think is a step behind the 4. Ludwig, if this track happens to be really, really fast at speed favoring, that horse is going to be flying, but he's going to stop. Race 5 will be my next spot. Do y'all have anything prior to that at Ellis? Nope.
I looked at the Turf Pick 3 mostly, so that's where I was. Yeah.
Race 5, Commanded. Had a trip last time, was checked a few times, waited behind horses, kind of cut the corner, tried to get through at the rail, door slammed on him, shifted out, much the best that day. That's another horse I'm going to lean on. The 6, these baby races a lot of times come down to either finding a standout or finding negatives on horses that you can eliminate, which is what happened in this race for me. The 6, Spin a True. I don't have any workout information. I don't have any kind of tips, or nobody's texting me. There's no videos to watch or anything. But there's a lot of positive here. Go Dolphin. Owen Hardy's 3 for 11, the first-time starter sprinting and maiden special weights the last 5 years. At Ellis, that 2 for 2 at Ellis out of those 11. Both of those winners have a work tab that looks almost identical to this one, working on the synthetic, shipping to Ellis, getting the win. The 8, Give Me the Beat Boys, the only other horse in there. That one caught my attention prior to debut. Was best over workmates every time on the dirt. March 26 took a big step forward. Then 3 starts later, here we are. Hadn't really done much. Maybe the change of surface wakes that one up. And race number 7, She's No Angel, was a voided claim May 9th. Ran decent that day, but last time just stepped it up big time. Nearly won by a pole. Great claim for Marshall and 10 strike. I think that horse lays over this field. What starts the Turf Pick 3? Race 8?
Yeah, the 6th race starts the Turf. That's
$3. Well, if you want to go back to that one, Mike, then we'll move on. Those are my main plays, as those dirt races.
I want your thoughts. I was looking more outside here in this baby race here. I mean, I know the 9's 5-2 morning line, but this is and Munning's first timer. We know that one's sharp first time out, and like you mentioned, some of these other ones are just difficult to. There's some negatives. The mare on this one just missed first time out on the grass, got beat an inch. So I just thought that one played, okay. The 10's also Munning's firster that they paid $100,000 for as a yearling. It's Joe Sharp. I know that he's like 10% first time out, but his barn, again, the breeding here on the dam side at least is a little turfy. So I thought maybe those 2 would be my leans in that race.
The
Go ahead.
The 10 didn't really have anything negative when I watched that horse. Until I would, if I was playing multis, I would use the 10. I thought the 3 and 4 were kind of B types. The 9, maybe the turf makes a big difference, but I didn't like the 9. The 11, I think will need a start. What was the first horse you mentioned? Did you mention the 2?
No, just 9-10 is where I was at.
The 2, if anybody's playing multis, I would throw that horse out. Even if it's taking money, I wouldn't bet $1 on that horse. That horse is slow out of the gate, vet scratched it, marked unsound.
They paid big money for that one too, $675 to show up here in this spot. I just thought was very curious. Jackson, did you look at this?
$675 and a vet scratch, tough game.
Yeah.
I didn't look at that race, no.
Okay. The last 2 were part of the Turf Pick 3. Also, I thought the 8th race was a really nice race. And, it's interesting that the guys on the early part of the show were talking about a horse that won yesterday in the last race at Saratoga there, that this Justin Queso shows up here. And this horse, I thought, was a pretty nice sprinter early this year, and then they kind of ended up in the forward growl, and then they were chasing maybe an Oaks kind of track for this one, ran into Anna's Promise. Now you get back to a sprint. They tried the turf last time. She was just okay, but inside post, she showed speed there. I just thought maybe she gets back to sprinting. She's 12-1 morning line, and it's a horse that I'm just interested in using in this ticket. I think has a chance to, maybe upset getting back to what she wants to do, especially if she can show some speed in here. So I thought that was interesting. The 4 Mandela is a horse that we were all on for the 8 bells. I think we did a lot of work, and touted this horse coming off that huge Oaklawn win. She ends up in this race. She's got some turf breeding to her also. So I'm interested in her, especially getting Lasix back too. I think that could be interesting. So those would be, the horses that I'd be interested in. And then maybe the 10, Miliad, I guess is the horse's name, 15-1 morning lines, Brendan Walsh. Those races at Laurel are solid. This horse probably needs to improve a little bit, but I like the last race. The fact that they ship here now, I thought she was a little bit interesting, even though she's only 1 for 7. There's some other talented ones in here, though. So, Chris, what do you think here? I think, weren't you on the 4 also for that 8 bells, if I'm not mistaken?
I don't remember. But I can tell you, just in case, you mentioned that's one I wrote extensively about Gulfstream prior to debut. It's funny, I talked about the horse getting DQ'd that saved me in the maiden race earlier, on this show. Said it didn't happen much. Well, actually, it happened with Justin Queso. I bet that horse at 7-1 or more on debut, and similar happened and saved me. But I thought I was real spready in here. I've got a goofy horse that I'm going to bet, but I was 1, 3, 4, 6, 9, 12. And then coming back to my top pick that I'm going to bet is the 7 Magic Escapade. I don't see not getting 20-1 here. This horse could run dead last or daylight him. I have no idea why they made this horse 20-1 morning line, but I guess it has to do with figures. This horse was very quick out of the gate last time. Just kind of lightly nudged along, asked, caught another gear, dug in. If it gets headed here today, she may pack it in and back up. But they're gonna have to catch her to head her.
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting morning line. Also, it's interesting. This horse's pedigree too. You would think she'd want to go longer.
If that filly is 10-1 or more, I'll do what they call over on the HHH podcast a irresponsible wager.
Jackson, any thoughts on the 8th race at all?
Yeah, I agree with everything you guys said about the 1. I think you guys covered that horse pretty well. This is the race I wish I could watch the first 4 seconds of and just bet that whoever makes the front between the 6 or the 7. There's just not a lot of speed for this big of a turf sprint field. So, yeah, I think the 7's pretty interesting. The time form number was much, much better than the Beyer was. There's a huge discrepancy. It's almost 10 points, I believe. So maybe the 7 is one you key in on something like the Turf Pick 3 where the money's going to be hidden because it starts so much earlier in the sequence. So maybe that's something you can get creative about.
Yeah, that's
my fingers don't give or subtract points for the class of race typically, just based off performance, what I seen by the eye, the clock. I know that horse's maiden race is the biggest fig I have of anybody in here.
Well, 21 morning line there. So that's that's something that definitely
which that does come with a bit of caution. I do have to say I've had to redo my whole figures for the Churchill turf. since this year was this new turf course. So there's been a lot of adjusting going on. There's been some turf races they ran at Churchill this year that I went back and changed pigs on 3 or 4 times. But I've got to where I think I'm finally at a set spot where they're solid.
The last race is a maiden 16. This was a race I was probably going to be spready. There's a couple John Ortiz horses in here that I would definitely use. I thought the 3 raced pretty well last time, considering where she was early. She was way out the back and ended up making a run to be 4th in that race. Whereas the horse that's probably going to be favored in here, the 6, I thought had a pretty good perfect trip and couldn't win in there. Chris, were you spready here, or did you like something?
I would be spready. I didn't really like anybody in here. I know there's no strong opinion I have. I would bet Mini Mo Kisses. If you made me make a win wager, I would bet the 10 at what should be a decent price. I would probably take the approach and fade those horses coming out of that Indiana race. But that's a risky proposition, considering they're lightly raced. You don't know how much give was in the ground. Now they're going to get the sperm Ellis turf. They could run completely different today. The 2 looks like maybe a price. That's a horse I wouldn't leave off tickets either. I know it got beat by 32 lengths and 19 lengths, but that horse didn't want nothing to do with the dirt track or the synthetic.
I thought the 11 had a little bit of a look too. Just that race 2 back in May at Indy. Going 5. This horse had a tough start and ended up running on to be 5th in there, and just seemed to have more to offer in there. And then, had an off the turf race on June 17th and ended up getting beat 10 lengths, but again, ran on again in the lane. This horse never takes a lick of money. Morning line I thought is low. They're going to be out the back, but I just thought this horse maybe showed a few signs, especially being an 0 for 12 type. Jackson, where'd you go in this last race?
I looked at it briefly at an impossible time, so I'm going to listen to what you guys had to say and go from there. It was a tough race.
Well, we've gone a lot of places. We've gone New York, Kentucky, Canada. We're all over the place, and that's typically what these inner circle shows are. We go to these different spots. We're trying to dig out horses that maybe aren't mainstream type horses that you're going to hear on other shows or from other handicappers, and these are guys that are looking at these spots, doing work, looking to make scores. So this is what the inner circle is. This is the round tables that we do. And sometimes we have 3 of us. Sometimes there's 5 of us. It's just kind of, who shows up for these Saturday shows. Guys, great to have you here. Anything else for this day? Anything else you're looking at? Or are we ready to go out and try to make some money?
Yep, that's it for me.
Well, this has been a production of In the Money Media. If you're interested in Inner Circle, you can contact us. You can go to inthemoneypodcast.com/plus and sign up. Plenty of extra podcasts. You have the opportunity for bet shares if you're interested in that kind of thing. We appreciate everybody coming out and joining this free preview of the Inner Circle. We'll see you all next time.
Good luck.